All these rejections from the middle Bollinger Band.
Resistance we're going to need.
If you actually see here, we get
And we'll look for a healthy higher
I
low.
would not
Don't have
be
the whole
eager
map
to
across
enter
the
a long
structure.
trade.
Howdy crypto friends, hope you're having a good day. Just up from a fantastic nap. It's been a pretty intense few days in the markets with Canadian MJ, marijuana sector continuing to have some major names hitting all-time highs day after day. So lots of gains over there. And we'll see if those gains come back over to the cryptocurrency space eventually. I certainly know that I've been moving funds back and forth between crypto and Canadian MJ at this point for, about 14, 15 months or so. So what we have now is a tightening range, and all eyes are on the impending ETF decisions. Now we have a lot coming out, as I pointed out in the last video that we had, and there's one in 2 days here, and people are anticipating it to get rejected. So there's a couple of things that happen now. Number one, we saw the rejection, or I should say the reaction. Last time we were delayed, and this time people are expecting a rejection. So a lot of people are piling into shorts. This is the BTC shorts chart. We're almost at all-time highs here. We are very extended. There's a lot of shorts is the bottom line. So we have a very interesting scenario. Number one, obviously, if it were approved, we're going to see a short squeeze. Whether or not you think the ETF is going to have a significant impact on Bitcoin, that doesn't matter. The headline alone is going to cause people to buy. We're going to see stops triggered. We're going to see shorts forced to liquidate. That's not the likely scenario. There's already people saying, inside sources saying it's going to be denied. Whatever. That's the most likely scenario, whether it happens or not. If it gets denied, I'm watching very closely for the initial reaction. And the initial reaction, we're going to anticipate it's going to be bearish. But the question is, how bearish is it going to be? And the reason I say that is because, number one, we had a lot of people already sell 2-3 weeks ago due to the delay in the ETF. Number two, we have a lot of shorts already in positions anticipating the rejection. So the question is, if we get the rejection, how many bulls are going to close out their positions? How many shorts are going to re-enter, or I should say enter new positions? And if the answer is not a lot, then we're going to see a quick pullback, the bulls buy the dip, and then maybe some shorts panic a little bit and say, uh-oh, we're not getting follow through to the downside. So I'm very interested. Again, I do believe the market should be doing a good job of pricing in a rejection of this ETF. The question is, is that the case? And we will know very shortly after the decision comes out, because again, if it is rejected, the first telltale sign will be a long lower wick of bulls buying the dip. As far as what I'm doing in this current range, I'm sitting on my hands still, and I've been doing so at this point for about 4 or 5 days, and we're still in the same range. Impressive buying of the dip after the rejection and the bear break yesterday, absolutely, but we still have 4-hour lower highs, and the bulls are trying to break those 4-hour lower highs right now. Let's see if this video can get some encouragement going. But 64.80, 65.06, and 65.47 are the first three resistance levels, and we can take out all three of those resistance levels in one single bull break if there is some volume behind it. But again, I do believe things are going to be a little bit timid heading into this decision, so I would be surprised if we get the bull break. For me, I'm still waiting for this double top. If we break this double top, I will be interested in the bull scenario. We did very quickly already form a daily higher low. So our higher low is now here at 62.28. So you can see we had the bear break from the daily inside bar. The bulls very quickly bought that dip. We have our low, high of the bounce, higher low, and the bulls need the higher high by breaking that double top at 66.36, which, if that does play out, would give us the tightening range of the equilibrium, and it would put us right in the middle of that equilibrium in the low 7,000 range. So that's pretty much a must for the bulls. They have to follow through, and they have to get up towards that level for this weekly equilibrium to continue forming. And if we don't see that, then obviously the bears keep the upper hand. But the bulls are still fighting here, and they still have a chance. We are currently less than $200 under that resistance. So if the bulls do show up, we certainly know that that's not a whole lot of levels that we would have to break in order to see this little daily bull break. So things are going to get interesting right now in the next 2-3 days for Bitcoin, so pay attention. Again, the short's very high. We're keeping an eye on that. No sign of any covering in sight, and continuing to load up. Ethereum on the daily time frame, much weaker than Bitcoin. We have our low, high of the bounce, and the bulls are trying a higher low. It's a weaker bounce at this point. We're not anywhere near as close to resistance as Bitcoin currently is. We're currently well over 10% below resistance, And obviously Bitcoin is at about maybe 2-3% below that resistance level. So an inside bar is forming on the daily. Support is currently 268.02 and then 250.28. In terms of resistance, we have very clear 4-hour lower highs. You can see just comparing Bitcoin, the 4-hour time frame, with one bull move, which here we go right now. We just broke the first level. With this bull move that's going to be going on while I'm talking, we can break multiple 4-hour lower highs in one go, whereas Ethereum is very unlikely to break multiple 4-hour lower highs in one go because they are so spaced out. We have the first one at 286.42 and the next one at 304. So I'll continue to check back in on Bitcoin and see what kind of follow through this bull break does get while I continue this video. So overall, we're in a situation, again, a tightening range on the daily. We're not anticipating to break this Ethereum range anytime soon. Maybe the ETH, or I should say the ETF, is going to be a catalyst to move Bitcoin significantly, which in turn will move Ethereum a bit. But overall, this is a pattern that I would stay patient on. And again, I don't like a bullish entry nor a bearish entry because we're right in the middle of this range, and the risk to reward where stop levels would be, unless you're using the 4-hour lower highs. Bears are comfortable using 4-hour lower highs, but other than that, stop levels are not entirely clear. So if you are using stop levels, I would suggest the 4-hour time frame. We do have a little higher low, a couple lower highs, tight range, looking to break. And same thing for Bitcoin. 4-hour, we have a support level at 63.62 and all these 4-hour resistance levels. But other than that, the daily chart is in too wide a range right now, and a lot of traders are sitting out until we get clarity breaking from this range. So ETC trying to break from its range, I should say trying to form a higher low. Low, high of the bounce, higher low. We have not seen much bounce follow through at this point. Support is 12.16 at this point, and the bulls have to break the 4-hour lower highs. So here's the same pattern as ETH, a little higher low. Bulls need to break 12.82, and then we're looking up at 12.32 or 13.32 as the next resistance after that. So clear 4-hour lower highs that some of the weaker names need to break. Bitcoin is already breaking some of these levels, and Bitcoin is much closer to daily follow through than we are on ETC. That being said, these names also saw a more significant initial bounce in terms of percentage gainers, so that is a little bit of how they even out. You know, an initial strong bounce and then weaker on the consolidation. Bitcoin, a weaker bounce and then stronger on the consolidation. That's how it kind of evens out to a certain degree. So ETC, very similar to ETH chart, watching the 4-hour tightening ranges. And last we got Binance. Binance, again, what's going to keep an eye out for, what I'm going to keep an eye out for, is for Binance to break the correlation now with Bitcoin. Because it is now correlating with everybody else, as you can see. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and ETC, all of these daily charts are very similar. And we're looking for the higher low. Not confident it has formed yet. We still have clear 4-hour lower highs with the last one at 985. But I'm going to be keeping an eye out to see when Binance is going to break the correlation with Bitcoin again, because we had such a long period without the correlation to Binance, and it stood out against a Bitcoin. And that's the biggest advertisement that Binance had going for it. The fact that it was still in an uptrend and still a strong coin while Bitcoin was weak, but now we're just lumped along with everybody else, and everybody's correlated to the same degree. So keeping an eye out for a shift in that correlation, but as of right now, it is pretty tight and pretty contained comparative to everybody else. So clear 4-hour lower highs to be watching. These technical analysis videos have been so quick the last couple of days because not a whole lot has changed. Again, the daily time frame, very slow, steady consolidation. We're looking for the higher low, and we're going to see the range widen up a little bit sometime in the next few days, in my opinion. So this follow-through move on Bitcoin right now, not a ton of follow-through. Again, I just don't have any rush to enter a bullish position with so many resistances nearby, and while still in a daily and weekly downtrend, and while still aware that the overlying news of the potential ETF is approaching. If I were a whale of a bull and I had some whale bull friends, what I would want to do is wait 10 minutes after the rejection of the ETF, if that's what we get, and I would want to buy very aggressively, and that would potentially cause a short squeeze. So I'm keeping an eye out for that. I might, if I see a long lower wick and that scenario playing out, I might look to make an entry, but otherwise I'm just going to still be hands off and patiently waiting for more clarity on the daily time frame. As the weekly chart tightens up for Bitcoin, which it is currently doing, you know, the bulls don't have a lot of strength and follow through, but they are defending support. As long as this weekly chart stays in a tightening range, we know volatility and volume is going to be limited, and we're going to look for a break of the tightening range to increase trading opportunity, volume, and volatility. So ideal scenario for me, again, regardless, I want to see Bitcoin break bullish, but with no bias, I would say the ideal scenario is to see this equilibrium tighten up and to see a move to 7,200, 300 and a lower high form and a tightening weekly equilibrium that would look to break sometime in, I would say, end of September, early October. That would be an ideal scenario, and that's when a bunch of those ETFs are going to line up as well. So I'm going to do another talk tonight with Nuggets News Australia, and we're going to talk a little bit about how this weekly chart is setting up for the potential of a tightening pattern that could be led to break by all of those decisions. Again, a lot of traders are not, a lot of Bitcoin enthusiasts and traders are not really pumped that the ETF narrative is driving the market right now, but too bad, you don't get to choose. And it's the kind of thing where there's not a lot going on. You know, what's the fundamental updates going on for Bitcoin? You know, it's the market wants, especially a fast-moving, volatile market, a speculative market, it wants information. It wants things to be trading off of, and that's what we have right now for the here and now. ETFs is the hot topic. So that's going to be the case until we either get a bunch of rejections or an ETF finally approved, and we will see the reaction from there. So that's that. Keep an eye on the 4-hour time frame. That's the most clarity. Again, what I always do every morning when I wake up is I check the major names and I check what time frame shows me the most clear picture that I want to be watching today. And it's been the 4-hour time frame for the last 3 or 4 days, and haven't had to really focus in too hard because we're not seeing significant movements aside from that bear break and then significant bounce. So that bounce was noteworthy, and we'll see if we can get some follow through from it. So here at the end of the video, as you all continue to do good things, got some clip from when I was woofing on a little homestead in California. This was on a mountaintop in northern California, looking out over the Pacific Ocean. And after that, we've got a video of, we were camping near a city. I forget what city at this point. It might have been near Dallas, Texas. But either way, we were near a city. We were on the outskirts of a city camping out. And this drunk guy, probably homeless, came and found us. I was out getting food at the time, but my buddy was in the tent recording his interactions with this drunk guy who, actually his name is Mark. I'm pretty astounded that I can remember his name 7 years later. But it was a scenario where, you know, a lot of these guys, that they just want someone to talk to and someone to interact with and have a good time. And he's obviously wasted, but he had a good night that night. And I appreciate you all watching, and we will check back in tomorrow and see if the bulls get any kind of follow through. Again, daily chart is tightening up. A break is imminent within the next couple of days or so. And it's either going to be a bull break of 66.36 to be looking up at 7,000, or a bear break of 62.28, and that will have us looking back down at 5,900. Thanks again, and we will see you soon.
I have lots, dude.
Well, let me hear one. Hit me with some, you got any Rolling Stones?
Hit me with the best shot. Why don't you hit me with the best shot? Hit me with the best shot. Fire away.
Yeah, that's just the chorus.
I know.
You got any Rolling Stones?
Maybe a few.
Hit me.
On my way.
On my way.
Gonna ramble on.
Ramble on.
Dude, hey man, if I wake up my bro.
Yeah, you should.
Hey, I should probably fucking come up here and rock your world, man.
Dude, if he's anything as good as you.